And good morning. And let's talk about artificial intelligence, what it is, how it works, and what it can do to help people, especially people with disabilities. It's a really important tool to use. Today, we've got Jason, who's an expert in assistive technology, just to come and explain everything AI. Welcome, Jason.
G'day, how are we?
Good, good. Can you
Good to
tell
hear.
us what the artificial intelligence program is?
Yeah, so well, it's all started when I met with you and I was showing you this particular one. There's a few out there, but the one I want to talk about is something called Chat GPT. It's something that's been talked about since it came out late last year, and people are saying, Skynet's going to take over, and the robot army will soon come out and take over the world. But it's not quite there yet. So this one's called ChatGPT.
So,
Yeah.
how does it work? Can you give an explanation on how it works?
Yeah, sure. So, ChatGPT is firstly, it's a website. I use it primarily through a browser, and you can create a login for it. And it's a text-based AI system. So, the way that I primarily use it is I'll write a message into it, saying, explain X, Y, and Z, and it will give me a written response. So one of the first things that I did, I've got a few examples here ready to go, is I've written down into it, explain what you are. And it says, I am ChatGPT, an AI language model developed by OpenAI. My purpose is to assist users in generating human-like text based on the prompts given to me. I have been trained on a diverse range of internet text, including books, articles, and websites, allowing me to provide information, answer questions, engage in conversations, and assist with various tasks. I rely on patterns and knowledge from data I was trained on to generate responses. However, please note that I do not possess personal experiences, beliefs, or emotions. I aim to provide helpful and accurate information to the best of my abilities, but there may be instances where my response may not be entirely reliable or up to date. So yeah, that's a little short response, and that's just with me asking it, explain what you are. I've also written what can you do, and it's listed from one to seven the things that it can do, and wrote down what can't you do, and it gave me another list of things that it can do, it can't do, I should say, and how you can use it. So you can ask it questions about itself, really. When I first downloaded it, I asked it simple questions, and then I started getting a bit creative, and I started having a little bit of fun. And I think when I mentioned this to you first time around, I said to it, "Write a Taylor Swift song," and it wrote lyrics. I guess from what it's learnt on the internet, what Taylor Swift's music and lyrics kind of sound like, and it generated a song, both with like verses, choruses, a bridge. But then I showed it to a Taylor Swift fan, and they didn't particularly enjoy what the song
Mhm.
was. It wasn't very. They weren't a fan. They kept commenting,
No.
"This doesn't sound like a Taylor Swift song." Blah blah blah. So that was a little bit of fun.
Yeah. So, what kind of things can you put into it? Like, because I know for myself, we've typed in write a letter to so and so regarding accessibility, and it drafted this really good letter, which I
Mm.
just copy and pasted. So, what other things besides writing letters, and can it do reports and
Yeah, so I know a few people use it for their workplace, and I know some workplaces now are now cracking down on AI and artificially generated reports and work and whatnot. And so it's one of those things that you can use it for writing reports of, like, if you're writing a letter to government agencies, or writing a report to do with people's, I guess, NDIS plans or something like that. But I also know that there are people out there. I have a friend who's a real estate agent, and he uses it to write property descriptions. He'll write a prompt into the message, and it'll say, describe a house that's 3 bedrooms, this kind of land, and blah blah blah. and he'll copy and paste it into his work, but he'll also go through and give it more of a human feel. And I guess at the end of the day, it's still an artificially generated response. So there's got to be a little bit of human aspect being put into it as well. So that's what he kind of does in there. Another thing is one thing I've heard a lot of people use it for is actually writing code. So they'll ask it to write C++ code for basic things, and they just copy and paste it into their program, and it'll act it. It'll, the program language will be, hopefully should be okay. And I know that some people have actually, some organizations and companies have had to able to put a form of ChatGPT into some of their hardware to help it. There's a device out there called the Envision glasses. Actually, works on the Google Glass hardware. I don't know if you've heard of either the Envision or the Google Glass before, but yeah, you're able to put it on like a pair of spectacles, and what they've done is they've put a form of ChatGPT in it, and it allows them to take a photo of a menu, for example. It'll analyze the menu, and you can ask it which options are gluten free, and it'll read through the menu and the information presented to it. It reads you back what's gluten free or what's vegetarian or et cetera, et cetera. And I've seen it happen in front of me, and I just didn't believe it. So those are some of the things that I know some people are using it for. Just for a little bit of fun, last night as I was playing around with it, I asked it to write me a dating profile as well. So, I won't tell you what it wrote.
Oh,
It's definitely not something that I'm going to use. Let's just say I'm not going to use what it's given me, but it's a little bit of fun, And
yeah.
and I know that some people use it to, I guess, write information for their social media profiles and some marketing material. Write some information about an upcoming movie, or write a review for this type of game or something like that. And then, like, I guess on a professional capacity, I know a lot of people out there have been using this kind of stuff for their university courses and whatnot, which has then led to university courses actually implementing some sort of software to help stop people using AI to write all of their essays and assessments.
Mm.
I don't remember the name of the software that stops them, but I know that it's something that detects ChatGPT or AI generated responses. So, yeah, I guess there's that little bit there to go off as well. So, I guess those are some of the examples. Yeah.
So, how accessible is it for people who are blind or vision impaired that use a screen reader or a
Mm.
magnifier?
Yeah, I guess the way that I'm using it is through a browser. So I'm just using it on Google Chrome, and I was using it with the screen reader JAWS just a moment ago, and navigating it seems to be okay. I'm able to use the keystrokes to find links and headings and form fields, but there are a few things on here that aren't labeled correctly. So it'll say button or image or something like that. It won't actually give you um, exactly what that button or image actually does. And in this instance, it could be things like copy to clipboard or thumbs up and thumbs down. However, like the text, accessing the text is a little bit easier. Right now, I've got it on my laptop here, and I'm just using a combination of the tab key to jump between different areas, and I'm also using the arrows up and down to jump between different lines of text. And so if I hit the tab key now and
unlabeled 0 button, unlabeled 1 button to activate, press enter.
I don't know if you can hear that, but it's saying unlabeled button, unlabeled button.
Unlabeled 2 button to regenerate response, button to activate, press enter.
And so it
Yes.
gives you that
Yeah.
kind of stuff there. Yeah. So it's pretty it's okay if you, I guess, once you understand the layout from what I would understand. I do I do know that there is an app that you can download to iOS devices, and I haven't actually had a chance to play around with that yet. But from what I've used in a browser based on the browser with that screen reader there, it's okay. But then there are those shortfalls as well. How have you found it?
Yeah, look, I've had it write a few letters and reports. for me, and it went extremely well. I asked it to write a poem about Pauline Hanson holding the NDIS to ransom, and it wouldn't do it because it had the word ransom in it.
Ah, yes.
It's classed as a violent word or something like that. So it won't do, like it's got like a built-in child protection, that sort of stuff that won't do.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was quite good though, that it had that built-in protection that won't be abused. But do you want to give us an example of actually using it, and just so we can hear yours and just get you to give a description of what you're doing and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, sure. Look, I won't say that I'm the best JAWS user, but we'll see what we can do. You guys can comment in the chat how well I'm using it. So I guess
Send a message, edit, type in text.
so. I'm just in the area where I can type in a message. Do you have any ideas what I can tell ChatGPT what to write? Any
Um,
any ideas?
is there anyone in chat that's got an idea who wants something?
Glenn's come in and said hello. So why don't we say we want to create an eloquent response to Glenn on his hello. How about that's our chat GPT? How about that? Because Glenn's just saying hello, but he's not putting any comments in.
Yeah, there's a bloke in chat, Jason. His name's Glenn. He's got his own YouTube channel. He's based in Louisiana, the US.
Oh yeah.
He's known as Mr. Nice Guy. He's a really nice bloke.
All right.
But yeah,
Yeah. So let's say hello to Glenn from Australia.
yeah.
SAY say AELO LOTO2 GLEN FRAUSEALARTO2 AMERICA America. Enter.
So I've just written say hello to Glenn from Australia to America, and it's loading. And I bet you it's probably going to say you need to refresh the page. But one thing that I've noticed as well is visually I can see that ChatGPT is writing its response. But for me to, I guess, hear JAWS tell me that it's written a response, it's kind of a bit of a guessing game, I've found. So for me right now, what I'm going to do is Shift Tab.
Regenerate response button to activate. Press enter. Unlabeled 2 unlabeled 1 button. Unlabeled 0 button to activate. Press enter.
And I'm at unlabeled 0 button. And if I arrow up.
Hello, Glenn. Sending greetings from Australia to America. Hope you're doing well across the distance.
And it's given me that response there. Hello, Glenn. Sending greetings from Australia to America. Hope you're doing well across the distance.
Okay. Well, how about with ask the question on, say, what is Hawking's radiation?
What is Hawking's radiation? All right. Yep. So I'm going to insert F5.
Select a form field dialog.
And I'm going to find send a message edit.
Yes, send a message edit. Well, enter. Send a message.
So what is
Hawkins?
Forgive me, what? Radiation.
RADIATION. Radiation question. Enter.
So
region end.
I've just written that down, and I'm going to Shift Tab.
ChatGPT made send a message. Regenerate response. Unlabeled 2 button. Unlabeled 1 button. Unlabeled 0 button to activate. Press enter.
I'm at the unlabeled 0 button. I'm just going to arrow up.
Blank. Universe. It remains an active area of research and the subject of much scientific interest and debate.
So it started with the word universe there, so that doesn't sound quite right. I'm going to arrow up again.
The concept of Hawking radiation has profound implications for our understanding of black holes, quantum mechanics, and the nature of information in the blank. Has not yet been directly observed, as it is incredibly weak for astrophysical black holes and requires extremely sensitive detectors to detect it. So
in this instance here, it seems like it's given me quite a big response. What I would do is keep going, keep arrowing up.
And eventually if the radiation blank, one pocket spot Hawking radiation blank. However, in the 90 to classical Hawking radiation ChatGPT graphic.
Until I hear ChatGPT graphic. And then I know, okay, at this point on, it's going to be from ChatGPT.
Hawking radiation, named after physicist Stephen Hawking, is a theoretical prediction in the field of quantum mechanics and black hole physics. According to classical physics, black holes are objects with such immense gravitational pull that nothing, not even light, can escape their gravitational force. However, in the 1970s, Stephen Hawking proposed that black holes actually emit a form of radiation, now known as Hawking radiation.
And as you heard, as I was arrowing up, there's a few paragraphs there. So it seems like it's done a pretty good job at pulling all the resources from the internet and just giving me this information here. It's probably taken it from Wikipedia, also some scientific research papers and all that kind of stuff there too. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, that was really interesting. I sort of know a little bit about Hawking's radiation. That's why I asked. But just hang on a sec. What was that? Okay, and bring Glenn up if you like. So, what are when you use JAWS with the Chat GPT, there's obviously some limitations with labeling. So, can we label those buttons ourselves?
I wouldn't be surprised if you could. I haven't quite gotten that gone down that route of labeling things myself on screen readers on a computer. I have done it with I have been able to do it with things on my iOS device in the past. But yeah, it's I haven't really tried it myself. Sorry, I can't give you an answer on that one.
No, you're right. Is Glenn there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, Mr. Blind Avenue. How you doing, sir?
G'day,
Good. Good,
Glenn.
How this is Jason. Glenn. He's
Hello, Mr. Jason.
He's
G'day,
an
Glenn.
expert with assistive technologies for people who are blind.
I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I know a little.
Well, you do a good job, so you know a lot more than I do.
Thank you.
So, what do you think about the Chat GPT, Glenn?
Do what now?
The AI program we're talking about. What do you think about it?
I don't really know much about it.
Yeah, it's the artificial intelligence program everyone's been talking about. You can put things into it, ask it questions, ask it to write letters and reports, and it does a huge variety of things.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing.
So this is the free version we're looking at now. Is there a paid version?
Yeah, there is a paid version. I usually like things free myself. I'm a bit of a frugal person, but there is a link there that says upgrade to Plus. Now, what it says that it does is it gives you a faster response to times and priority access to new features, and it goes for about $20 US a month. So it says it's not something that I'm interested in. I'm not really in it to dabble in more advanced features. Like I said, that there are people out there that use it to write code. But I think when it comes to what I use it for, I don't think I'll be paying for it.
Can that program do like art projects and do paintings and pictures, or is it just text?
Funny that not this one in particular is just purely text based. There are other AI based generators that do provide that do generate images. So DALL-E is another one. DALL-E 2, I think it's called, is something that I know that people out there have been experimenting with to create artworks. But then there's also that ethical factor of whether or not
JAWS dialogue. Okay button to act.
That's my JAWS telling me it's running out of 40-minute mode. So people out there writing articles and I guess talking about the dangers of using AI generated images for copyright reasons, because you can write into DALL-E to create an image of a landscape in the style of Picasso, or write do a painting of myself in the style of Yoji Shinkawa, which is a Japanese artist who has a very particular style. And so there are people out there that are like talking about whether it's ethical to copy someone's art style and take it from there.
5:10 decimal points dash.
Yeah,
At this,
yeah.
it's-
The reason I asked is because Glenn's quite the artist. He's well known for his drawings, landscapes.
hmm,
So I thought Glenn might be interested in that one.
yeah. I know that there are, I guess, people out there that are using it to, I guess, more so the people I'm talking about. I just like writers who are starting out and want to give more of a inspiration of the things that they're writing about. So if they're writing a short story about a fantasy land or something like that, they'll write something about their short story into it. Give me a fantasy land that looks like this and blah blah blah, and it'll give it
Yeah.
kind of a I guess an inspirational artwork to kind of go with their words as well. So I think that's pretty cool as well. That might be something that you might be interested in, Glenn.
Yeah, Mr. Jason, if you go check out my YouTube, I do got 2 pictures that I drew, and one or two I drew back in 1994, and the other one I drew like here recently, and that is something I've kind of been in doing on like different kind of drawings. I'm more better with the chalk art type deal than what I am with the any other kind of drawing.
Yeah, just having a look at your YouTube channel now. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, he has some really good streams,
Yeah.
Glenn does. It's a good channel. I'm one of his subs. Have been for a while. But yeah, everyone who sees Glenn's artwork's really impressed with it. So thought Glenn may be interested in that. Is it Dali? Is it Dali or Dahlia?
Dal E2. So DALL E and then 2 is what it's
Dali
called.
too.
Yeah. I have seen some people playing around with something similar to DALL-E 2, like Stable Diffusion as well as another one. But I guess they do get a little bit more advanced. There's an aspect of machine learning going on in the background of some of the other ones where you can feed it images to, I guess, learn from. I guess if you wanted to provide artwork of yourself, you could take photos of you in different moods and different faces and different angles, feed it into it, and it'll provide you a photo or some artwork of something that looks like you. Yeah, that's gets a bit scarier, but I've always wanted to see what I look like in shining armor or with muscles bigger than bigger than the kitchen sink.
It's really
Yeah.
impressive, the AI. With the with the Chat GP with its abilities there, with the text to speech, and with the other ones, with the one we're talking about, DALL-E 2. We found one. Chris and I found one just after we spoke to you. We looked at something that can generate music. And we did something in that, and there was a queue. I was like 1,016th in line, 1,016,000 in line to get this free music. But it's crazy what's available through with AI these days. But just with the Chat GPT, is there a limit on how many words it puts out?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure. I have seen it give some pretty extensive responses, but I've also seen it limit itself to a few things here as well. It might be something that if you upgrade to it's called ChatGPT Plus, which is the paid upgraded version. It might be something that will allow you to have more of a detailed response when you give it back to it. But I wouldn't be surprised if if it's only limited by itself, really. I haven't been able to push that barrier yet, but there's still some time.
So if people need something like ChatGPT to write letters and do reports, can that be funded by the NDIS?
Well,
The
ChatGPT.
subscription?
Yeah, I don't think so. I guess when it comes to the NDIS, that's if it's something that the free version can do, I don't think the NDIS will probably think about funding it, because they always like to look at the free versions first. And if the free version is enough, then I think that might be one of those things where they'll draw the line there. I think. Yeah, but for $20 US, I don't know what that would be in Australian dollars. It's not that much, I think, and I wouldn't be surprised if, give it a couple of years' time, with the amount of money that other companies are investing into this type of stuff. I know that Microsoft has invested some money into ChatGPT, that you're able to use it through Bing, their search engine. I'm more of a Google guy, so I don't use Bing. I use Google Chrome instead of Microsoft Edge as well. But I know that it does. There is a bit of ChatGPT in the background there, just like there's nuances, Dragon, naturally speaking, in when it comes to the dictation of Apple's dictation there. It's kind of running in the background. I have played with it a little bit when it comes to Bing search results and giving you a bit of a response there, but I've also seen it being used on Snapchat. Not that I use Snapchat, but they have a similar thing there, like an AI friend or something like that. Whether or not it's good or not, and I guess that's the question at the end of the day, isn't it? Whereas I've seen with ChatGPT here, it seems like it's good enough. Sorry, I feel like that was a very long response to your question. So if you give me the chance, I'll just waffle on. So sorry.
Oh, look, it's I find it exciting. Because when Chris and I, we looked at it, as Chris is my support worker, we looked at it when we first spoke to you. We were both blown away, but what it could do, because we were putting heaps of different things, asking it questions, and Chris went back and asked his kids about it, and they said, oh yeah, that's been out for a while, and they just walked off. They weren't interested.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was nothing to them, but for someone like, I'm 59, and when I was at school, they were umming and ahhing about us using calculators. But nowadays they've got AI. But what's it going to be like in 10, 20 years' time?
Oh, that's the thing. Like when I was in school, we were like, the first iPhone had just come out, just as I left, and actually, we'll go while I was in high school. The iPod came out, and before that, people were bringing Walkmans into school to listen to music on the go. But then you'd have to also carry a bag of batteries to make sure that it wasn't going to die during the day.
Sorry about that.
And now look at that. All good, Glenn. And now look at kids going to school with their smartphones and having access to music streaming services like Spotify. And I left high school in 2007. Now it's 2023. In the space of don't make me do the maths. The space of that time, it's we've gotten from that to this. I wouldn't be surprised in another 15 years or so, it's going to be crazier. But at the end of the day, I'm still waiting for my jetpack.
Yeah. So what do you think, Glenn?
Yeah, that's what gets me on how much technology came. Well, I'm amazed about. I graduated in 1994. Okay. And I remember when I was a kid, we didn't have like computers and cell phones. Like we got them now. And now it's what makes me most on what you can actually do on the cell phone alone.
Oh, exactly. Like the cell phones now, they're like a mini computer. They're unbelievable.
Mm. I just had a friend over last night, and she was asking for some advice to update her resume, and she was doing it all on her phone. And I thought, do you want to borrow my computer to do that? She goes, no, 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 I'm okay on this. I think, oh man, I don't know how you could do it. I guess she's comfortable with it, aren't they? I'm
Yeah,
comfortable with that kind of stuff on a keyboard and mouse, and sitting down to type it up using a full size keyboard. Whereas I guess nowadays, kids are happy to do it on phones or on tablets. I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple of years' time, people are walking around with those virtual reality goggles, like in that movie or the book Ready Player One. And then in
yeah,
a couple more decades, it'll be Neuromancer, and people are going to be surfing through the internet and jacking in and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, sci-fi nerd coming out of me right now.
yeah. I am too. But I remember my first computer was an old Commodore 64.
Whoa.
And that was brand spanking new. It was like 128 kilobyte of memory and all this. Look at that; it's nothing. It's nothing now.
Mm.
I sort of look back and just shake my head. It's just unbelievable. But
But at the
this,
time,
sorry.
it would have blown you away.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I was in high school when Space Invaders came out. Remember Space Invaders, the
Oh yeah,
original? Yeah, that was come on the scene. Like, we went from pinball machines to Space Invaders, and that was a huge leap in technology. And now it's
yeah,
nothing. It's
yeah.
absolutely nothing. But yeah, the AI itself, how big are they? Like, how big's the operating system?
Well, yeah, I guess that's why you're using it, or I'm using it, and people are using it through browsers or connected through an app, because it's the thing. It's not stored locally. It's connected through their servers. So it's all accessed through the cloud. So the computing power of this isn't on your computer. It's stored elsewhere, probably in big server farms off hundreds of kilometers away. And that's one of the things. Like, I'm a big video game fan. Like, I'm a big gamer, and at the moment, well, I guess even a couple of years ago, people were talking about our consoles being going to be obsolete the next generation, because at the moment we're on the generation of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, and people are saying, are they going to be obsolete come the next generation, and are we all just going to be playing video games connected to a screen that's and all the computing power is coming from a server farm kilometers away? I don't think we're there yet, because I think when it comes to video games, there's that latency that you don't want, and particularly the infrastructure as well. I mean, look at
Mm,
5G is slowly rolling out here, and it's doing good speeds, but it's not reliable yet. Not reliable speeds. And let's just not mention the how bad the Australian internet system is
yeah,
here. I remember when I was in LA a couple of years ago, just the hotel Wi-Fi blew me away. How quick that response time was, both the up and download speed. But again, I was in a metropolitan area. I understand
mm,
that, and it's the same here as well. In more rural areas, the internet speeds aren't that great when you go out more into the country. And so that's another thing as well. Like, whilst I'm able to comfortably use seeing AI, I mean, not seeing AI, ChatGPT, here through a browser that's connected to the cloud. I guess if you're in somewhere that has poor internet connection, it's probably something that you're not going to be able to use, or at
mm,
least reliably use. So that's an interesting thing, and I wouldn't be surprised in probably another couple of. I probably won't see it in my lifetime, but maybe in 100 years or so, you'll have a personal AI. Kind of like, I don't know if you've heard of the video game Halo. Um, the main character has their own personal AI called Cortana, and you can ask it to do million and one things, and
Yeah.
it'll appear to you in a hologram, and you can have a conversation. Then it will control your body parts for you if you need it to.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like Star Trek: Next Generation, where they have their holodecks, where they
Oh,
have like physical interactions with holograms. That to me would be the ultimate. It's but look, I know in the US, I think 5G is probably with the wireless connection, it's probably fairly basic over there now. Do you use 5G, Glenn?
Yeah. The what now?
The 5G network with your mobile
Uh,
phone that you use, is that really good?
I tried it before and it didn't really work out with me, but the 4G thing like better no, especially the location where I'm at and in that or no here in US, it all depends with the location. Sorry about the noise there, but anyways, the location, it all depends where the location you at, with 5G good, no good, or the 4G good, and and I heard 5G is better, but I couldn't tell any different.
Yeah, because I thought the 5G was rolled out a while ago in the US, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thinking too. But it that I mean I what you call it kind of they work for it, like a inconsiderate bug on it. I can't really explain it because I don't know much about it.
Fair enough.
And
Yeah,
mm,
because I know in the large metropolitan areas, I think like they have terabits per second speeds over there, which is we're on 100 megabits per second, so it's a huge difference.
yeah. Well, I'm just checking my phone now, and I've got 5G connection where I live. I live in metropolitan Sydney, and let's do a little bit of a speed test because usually my internet broadband, the most I get is 90 megabits download speed. And as I'm doing the speed test right now, so comparing my broadband speed as 90, I'm at 460 down.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, the
Yeah.
upload speed is still pretty bad. It's still at 20 megabits, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
The
the Chat GPT AI, do you think that had its own server farm being so big, or
oh yeah, 100%.
yeah?
Yeah.
Mr. Blind Avenue, guy jumped in. Mr. Jason, nice to meet you. And
All right, thanks, Glenn.
everybody hit that like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah,
Thank
good
you.
on you, Glenn. Thank you.
You're welcome. And
See you, mate.
be careful.
We will. Thanks, Glenn.
See you, mate.
Yeah, he's a nice bloke, Glenn. I've known him for a couple of years now.
Yeah,
Talked
good
to him
on
on
him.
and off. Yeah, he's good. He's from Louisiana, so he's got Cajun background.
Nice.
Yeah,
Cool accent, man.
a lot of Australians can't understand him. I can, but I know
Yeah.
a few other Australians can't. But yeah, he's a nice bloke. But anyway, just getting back to the Chat GPT. So when you input information into the edit field to ask it a question or to write a letter, is there a limit on what you can put in there?
That's a great question. I guess at the moment, I've only been writing a couple of sentence messages to get it to give you a response. But I guess as I was writing, as I mentioned earlier, my dating profile, I was able to give it a few points. So um, and I was able to revise those points as well to add extra information to get more of a specific answer. So I wouldn't be surprised if you would be able to provide it with a quite a long list. The actual character limit is I'm not quite sure. You know what? I just had an idea. What is your character limit? And let's see if ChatGPT gives you an idea. Okay, so it says here, as the AI language model, I have a maximum token limit for each response. Tokens are chunks of text which can be as short as one character or as long as one word, depending on the language and context. For GPT 3.5, the maximum token limit is 4,096 tokens. It's important to note that both the input prompt and the output response contribute to this token count. Okay, so it looks like it's 4,096, I guess, words, both as a response and as the message that you write into it. So that's another thing I keep forgetting is if I have a question about ChatGPT, I always forget that I can ask ChatGPT about itself.
Yeah. So with the accessibility issues with the unlabeled buttons and all that sort of stuff, now you're using JAWS.
Mhm.
What's it like for people who use VoiceOver? Is it pretty much the same?
VoiceOver on iOS?
Yes.
To be honest, I haven't tried it with VoiceOver on iOS. Do we want a live demo?
If we've got time, yeah.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of time. And let's fill in the blank here while I log in. And it's one of those things that I don't think about using while I'm on my phone, but then when I'm on my desktop, I'll think, oh, I'll just turn NVDA on. I'll just turn JAWS on. We'll see how we go. All right. So because again, there is an iOS app, I don't have the iOS app downloaded, but so I am
Okay.
using it through the browser.
VoiceOver on. New chat, heading button. New chat, heading level 1.
Okay, so new chat heading level 1, but then if I flick to the right again, button. So,
Okay.
yeah, looks like that's more of a browser interface issue there.
ChatGPT, heading examples, heading explain quantum computing, got any creative idea? How do I make an HTTP request in JavaScript?
So that kind of stuff, all these buttons here are all labeled.
Page 2 of 2. Send a message, multi-line text field. Double tap to edit. Use the rotor to access misspelled words.
There we go. So that edit field, I assume, will act as normal.
Right.
Insertion point and end.
So let's use dictate. What is the 150th Pokemon?
Inserted. What is the 150th Pokemon? Button.
Okay, so when I flick to the right to submit that response, it's just labeled as button.
What is the 150th Pokemon? Button.
Okay, so it doesn't actually tell me that that's the submit button. If I double tap on that,
middle dot dimmed.
And again, it's not giving me an audio response that it's actually generating the response there, but I'm going to flick to the left.
Send a message, multi-line text field.
There's that form field.
Double tap to button.
And there is those 3 buttons.
The 150th Pokemon in the original Pokemon series, also known as the Kanto region Pokedex, is Mewtwo. Mewtwo is a psychic-type Pokemon and is considered to be one of the most powerful and iconic Pokemon in the franchise.
And so, as you can hear, it gives you the response as usual.
ChatGPT, image, button.
And again, button again. So I guess that gives you a bit of a preview. Like I said, I am using that through Safari. I'm not using it through the native ChatGPT app itself. I might have to download that and give you some feedback about that another time. But if there's anyone out there in the chat that has it and has tried it with the app, yeah, just let us know. But have you installed the app yourself, or have you been using it through the browser?
Through the browser.
Yeah.
I will download the app, but It seems ironic that they had this
10:47.
AI. They
Try
had this
again.
huge AI program that's not accessible. You think, the AI say, look, you haven't made me accessible. Make me accessible.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? And that's another thing that I guess it's up to people like you and me to make those companies aware and accountable of not making those things accessible.
Yeah, we
There was
did look at contacting them. We couldn't work out where to go. It was,
yeah, okay. Well, how can I send feedback to you? Well, this one's taking a little bit to respond.
It's probably 1,200 departments.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not responding.
Oh,
To
probably.
provide feedback regarding your experience or to report any issues or concerns, you can typically follow these steps. Number 1, check the platform or interface. Oh, okay, it's giving me troubleshooting advice.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is, something that I'm noticing, visually, I'm noticing it's giving me those, all of this quite slowly. Whereas before, some of the other responses is
Quite quick.
just generated it quite quickly. Um,
So who actually owns that AI? Is it Google or is it?
Yeah, that's a great question. From what I understand, they're an independent company called OpenAI. Um, if I type in, so ChatGPT is owned by OpenAI, the company that developed and released it. OpenAI is a company dedicated to AI research. It started as a non-profit company in 2015, but transitioned to for-profit in 2019. So it gives you a little bit of information there. Yeah, I know that. I know for a fact that Microsoft did give them a bit of a boost to be able to use their software in a lot of their Microsoft products, and I think that they're slowly working through it. Like I mentioned before, in Microsoft Edge and in their Bing search as well, there's a little bit of OpenAI software in there as well. So yeah, I think that's where I think a lot of people have had their eyes on ChatGPT over the last 12 months, and be interesting to see where that Microsoft investment has gone.
Yeah, because I can't really remember. I heard it. Microsoft was applying to obtain the organisations that own Grand Theft Auto and those games in the UK, and it's been blocked. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been
so it's
blocked.
not actually, so Grand Theft Auto is owned by Take-Two. What Microsoft is trying to acquire is Activision Blizzard. So developers of Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch. And so they've been trying to acquire that, but there's like, oh, gosh, I'm talking video games.
Yeah,
So it seems like Microsoft have been trying to acquire that, and both Microsoft and Sony PlayStation have been trying to. People have been calling it kind of like an arms race to try and acquire developers left, right, and center. And I guess when it comes to some of the biggest franchises in the video game landscape, Call of Duty is one of the biggest ones, and so they've been trying to. They've submitted an application to acquire Activision Blizzard, but they've got to go through the rigmarole, and Sony PlayStation have actually gone to a lot of effort to try and block and try and intervene and block it, whilst Microsoft are trying to make deals and say, we're not going to keep things exclusive, and we're happy to keep developing and keep releasing the games developed by Activision and Blizzard on other platforms. They've also made a 10-year deal with companies like Nvidia to have Activision Blizzard games still release on those platforms for 10 years, and same with Nintendo as well. They were happy to sign an agreement to have those games not be exclusive on on the Microsoft Xbox platforms. But yeah, I think what a lot of the companies out there, like the FTC in America, the CMA, I think in the UK, and in Europe as well. There are some organizations out there, like regulatory bodies out there, trying to, I guess, assess whether or not it would be a monopoly, whether or not they acquire it because of how big those franchises are.
Well, that's what sort of worries me. Like these, like Microsoft and that, take over these companies, and they eventually acquire things like ChatGPT, and then they set their own parameters of what their political views and stances are and what they believe, and it's like sort of like Twitter used to be until Elon Musk got in. That sort of concerns me. I don't know about you, but it does for me. I think organisations, whether it's non-for-profit or profit organisations, once they become the main carrier, then they have that monopoly. Then they can start dictating terms.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Yeah.
So that concerns me, especially with AI, because the way it's going, you know, you hear things where they're using AI to, I don't know, tap into your body movements and you know, your thought processes, and put out information related to that. Is that correct?
Like, it seems like, I think I understand the concerns. I think when it comes to that kind of stuff, I haven't really heard much about that particularly. But I guess I'm a bit of a sci-fi nerd, so if I could have a cool thing built into the back of my neck that plugs into a computer system that I'm able to surf the web just by thinking about it, that kind of like excites me. But I understand a lot of people are very concerned about not having full control over yourself. Yeah, so I understand the concern. It's just, yeah, maybe I'm the wrong guy to talk to.
Yeah, like I'm a huge sci-fi nut as well. I have been since, you know, I first watched Star Trek back in the early 70s, and Doctor Who, and you know, the Next Gen and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, Mike, it's not just with profitable organisations, but governments and non-profits, and that it sort of concerns me that once they get there, it's like when Bunnings and the other, was it Good Guys, they were using facial recognition in their
Oh,
stores.
I don't remember.
Yeah, Bunnings stopped actually because there was a bit of a backlash, but that sort of worried me, especially with AI the way it's is now and the way it's going to be in the future. I have concerns
Yeah,
to, you know, who's running those programs, and you know what they're getting out of it.
yeah. It kind of turns into, don't know if you've seen the film Minority Report.
It's sort of, like
Yeah,
it's not what you do, but what you could do in the future, sort of.
yeah, but also there's a scene where he's walking down this, I guess, strip, this mall, and it's kind of recognizing the person's like retina and giving personalized ads that only they can see as they're walking through, and on the billboards it's, oh, hello, Tom Cruise's character, I can't remember his name, have you thought about this, and blah blah blah. And
Mm.
yeah, it's a scary reality. I just hope that there are enough literature and films and TV shows so that companies can see, oh, maybe if we keep going this way, Skynet might actually become a reality. So maybe let's
Mm.
stop it there and follow Asimov's laws of robotics.
So what do you think, over the next 10 years, programs like ChatGPT, what are they going to be like for the average person on the street, for people with disabilities to be able to access information and be able to write letters and reports and get into the workplace as well?
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think I'll go back to some previous examples. I think when they started to introduce those self-serve checkouts, I think there was a lot of concern that, oh, people are going to lose their jobs and whatnot. But how many years ago did they introduce that to where we are now? People still have jobs. It still needs to be human controlled, and people still are working in the at the checkouts themselves. So that hasn't quite gone away. And then you look at virtual reality. People thought that was going to be the next big thing, and people are thinking about this is what video games is going to be like, or this is how people are going to use their computers from now on. But look at where we are now. Those things haven't really quite come to pass, and I understand the risks of all that technology and how it could implement and change human nature. But I think when it comes to this kind of stuff, it will definitely be helpful, and I think a lot of people out there would want it to be helpful in regards to I guess when it comes to people with multiple disabilities who need something to help them communicate, there are those switch controls that they can have, or a little talking board that they can make that a little bit more streamlined. I'd like to see that kind of stuff there, and for those of more with an intellectual disability, to help them, I guess, be more effective in their life skills or life administration skills, to be able to apply for a job, or to apply for a house, or a loan, or something like that, or even to write an email, or even just to say hello to their children. Yeah, I'd definitely love to be able to, I guess, see the technology applied in a positive way when it comes to health and disability. And I guess that's probably why I'm such an enthusiast of technology helping people. So I'd love to think that the direction that this is all going to go is going to have a positive outlook. But I'm a bit of an optimist when it comes to this, I guess. So that's what I hope for. What I've seen in the past when it comes to those examples I brought up, it's just something that some of those trends that I've noticed, that there's a big spike in popularity of a certain subject, and it kind of goes away until people kind of forget about it. But yeah, I guess it's one of those we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. How about you?
Well, I think if they're going to push forward with the AI, that the first thing they've got to do is make it accessible for everyone. Like for people who are blind or vision impaired, and people who have quadriplegia, intellectual disabilities, to be able to use it for a multi-purpose tool to communicate, to write letters, even to have some sort of verbal interaction with the AI. If they're being isolated for whatever reason, I think it'd be good, but we need to make it accessible. And I just don't know why, especially with the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Australians Disability Discrimination Act, why these aren't being pushed by the governments to make them accessible.
Yeah,
because
that's the age-old question, isn't it?
Well, you look at the Chat GPT now. There was like 3 or 4 buttons that don't have labels. I just don't know why the governments don't jump on the bandwagon and tell these organisations, if you're going to provide a service, whether it's free or paid, you have to make it accessible, 100% accessible.
And I think it's one of those things where, if it's not, I'm going to get on my bit of a bandwagon here. If there's nothing in it for the government, then are they really going to do it? But that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say about that.
But I lodged a complaint to the Human Rights Commission regarding my local council, and I got on the World Health Organization about 2008, I think it was. And on the World Health Organization, there are over 330 million people worldwide who are blind or have a moderate to severe vision impairment where they need assistance. So that's like 1/3 of 1 billion people. Why aren't businesses tapping into that market? that's just for people who are blind or vision impaired. What about people who are quadriplegia? You look at Stephen Hawking. 40 years he spent in that chair, and he's still able to achieve what he achieved. Yeah, I just don't understand why businesses can't see those markets and tap into them. It just doesn't make good business sense to me.
No, I agree.
But
that's why we've got to raise awareness and get those businesses get on board.
Yeah, but it's just so relentless. You've got to keep doing it over and over. You just repeat yourself all the time. So I've been sort of lobbying and doing the advocacy stuff for 20 years, and it's just the same thing over and over again, but to different organisations and different businesses, and it's like treating water.
Yeah, I bet. Gosh. Well, hopefully if you're out there listening, just make sure you're raising awareness about accessibility and helping us in the battle, hey?
Exactly. Yeah. Just shoot off a quick email, make it accessible. It's not hard, but the Chat GPT, look, I've put in so many things into it. Chris and I have. We've asked it questions, we asked it to write reports and letters, and we asked it to write a song. It did it all, and it did it all really well. I think there was like 2 different occasions we sort of scrapped it and reworded the input to get the better outcome. So people need to keep that in mind too. If you don't get the letter or report or whatever you want, re-put the data into the search engine, the edit field, and sort of reword it.
And I think one thing to note, at the end of the day, it's still a computer. It might seem smart, but at the end of the day, things need a little bit of a human touch.
It does, but the more we use stuff like this, the better it becomes over the long term. So it's a learning process,
and it's been it's only less than a year old, so still time. There's still a ways to go.
I think it's what Chris and I have done, put into it. It's absolutely brilliant. I would recommend it. So where can people go to find it, Jason?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I probably should have started off with this. The URL is just a chat.openai.com. Alternatively, just a quick Google search will bring you to their web page, and if you just type in ChatGPT, and and go from there. Let us know your thoughts and experiences. Because so far, having a lot of fun with it.
So the login process to sign up to it, how difficult is that? How long does it take?
It takes a couple of seconds. For me, when I log into it, it gave me a choice to sign in with my Google account, my Microsoft account, or you can just create an account within them with your email address. So I just used my Microsoft account because it was just easy to remember. But yeah, it seems pretty easy for me, almost like if you were signing up to Facebook or something like that.
So the signing up for it, that part of it, that process is all fairly accessible and.
Yeah, that one I know is labelled. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, yeah. Thank you, Jeff. It's been I guess if you had any other questions and whatnot, I guess you're probably going to cover a few more things about this in the next couple of months, I imagine.
Yeah, well, I intend to sort of tap into other things as well. Bits of technology. It's always good to get someone that's got the expertise to come up and talk about it.
Yeah.
I struggle sometimes even just to sign up for things.
Yeah. Well, this one here, like I said, it seems pretty easy from how I was looking into it. So, but yeah, it going through the sign up process was pretty accessible for me.
Oh yeah. I found it fairly accessible. I just wanted to get your opinion on it though, for somebody
Hmm.
who's, you know, going there for the first time, that it's fairly well straightforward and
Yeah, like I
accessible.
said, it's probably just as easy to. It's almost like creating an email address. You know, and the hard part I think is remembering what your password is.
Well, I have the same password, but on the end of it, I put different numbers for different things.
I
So
kind of do
yeah,
something similar as well. But
yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
know one person who goes A1, B2, C3, and then the next one he goes B2, and he leaves the A out and goes B, C, D, E.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and just gradually goes down the alphabet.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
So,
great.
but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anyone in chat asking any questions? That's everything. All right. Well, I know you probably need to go, and I
Fortunately, I
appreciate you.
do.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming and explaining it all.
Oh, it's been great.
Yeah. So yeah, Chat GPT. Type that in your search engine, it'll pop up. It's brilliant, and thank you for putting me onto it. I'm really glad you did.
I'm glad you're having fun with it.
It's great. Yeah, no, appreciate it. All right,
No
well, thank you
worries.
for
Thank
that
you.
today. Yeah, thank you for that today. I appreciate you giving up your time
No, no
this
worries at all.
morning to come and talk about it.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been a blast.
Yeah, great. Okay, all right, thanks, Jason.
Thank you very much.
Okay, see ya.
See ya.
All right, so we might end that there, and if you have any questions or anything like that, shoot me an email at blindadvocate007@gmail.com, and I'll pass them along to Jason. Okay, all right. Thanks, everyone.